Hey everybody, this is A7X Fan Ben, and this is Pirates with Ben, blog number 36. So, little news from the forum today at Miniature Trading. Xerix has a new miniature review contest. That's what MRC stands for, and this will be the 7th one. So it's going to be another story time contest. So basically, if you're not familiar, there's miniature reviews at Miniature Trading. I did a miniature review of the Serpent's Fang in video form recently, and basically, for the miniature review contest, you write a miniature review based on specific criteria, and then if you win, you can host the next contest. So the deadline is a little over a month from now, July 20th, and sometimes there's prizes as well beyond just hosting the next contest. So he's got the rules laid out. I'm going to put a link in the description. And he also announced myself as the winner of the Customize It Fleet Challenge. So I get to host the next Fleet Challenge. So I'm working on that today, actually, a little bit. So I'm going to have the thread up later today, I hope. And there's a lot of different ideas I could go with, and there's a lot of Fleet Challenge ideas I hope to host in the future. But I think I'm going to go with the Uncommon Fleet Challenge. So you may not have been around the forum long enough to have seen the Common Fleet Challenge, but it was a fleet challenge back in, I want to say 2012 or sometime around there, a number of years ago, where you could only use game pieces with common rarity. So I'm going to be doing something similar, but now uncommon. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I looked up the crew. There are almost no crew that are uncommon, and the ships are usually limited to some 2 masters, a bunch of 3 masters, and some 4 masters. So it's going to be an interesting thing here. And there's also some uncommon unique treasures from Pirates of the Caribbean set. So there is still a decent amount of variety, but it's going to be pretty limiting. So I think the Uncommon Fleet Challenge is going to go well. And I'll put a link to the description if I get that thread up before I upload this episode, hopefully. So deal of the day is 36 packs of Crimson Coast. It says $75 with 15 shipping, at least on my end. It does say best offer, so you could maybe get the price lower. Even though the picture has the box, I saw in the description says the box is not included, and some of the booster packs may have minor damage, so just keep that in mind if you want to bid or make an offer. This is an interesting one because it's a little cheaper than a lot of the Crimson Coast I've seen the past few years, and Crimson Coast in general has become somewhat rare and kind of pricey the past, I don't know, 3 years or so. It seems relatively scarce compared to, I don't know, it wasn't really a super rare or expensive set back in like 2011 to 2013, for example, when I got some of it. So this is a decent deal. And then there's another one actually. There's a Bouchon up, and it's only 45. So I mean, that's above Bouchon average cost, but the other ones are like $49.99. So this one's 45 with free shipping. This one also says make offer. So best offer could maybe get the price lower. So check that out if you still need a Bouchon. Card of the day, sets 1 through 14. Number 11. So set number 11 is Rise of the Fiends. And let's see what we get here. So last time it was Return to Savage Shores, the 14th set, unreleased, of course. 1 to 300 for Rise of the Fiends to include the Spectre. 289 is not a game piece, neither is 283, neither is 184. So 4th try, nope. 5th try, nope. Wow, this might be a new record here. Nope. Okay, 89. So, looks like, oh, Captain Mission. Nice. Alright, this is actually, I think, one of the most underrated pirate named crew in the whole game. So, Captain Mission had 3 different versions. This is the middle one. He showed up in Mysterious Islands under a different spelling, the regular spelling of Mission. I used to say Mijin for this this version, but I'm just gonna say Mission as I did for Command the Oceans with his kingdom and everything. And then his final version was Fire and Steel. I think this version is probably the most interesting. It is the rarest. It's a super rare, number 89 from Rise of the Fiends. So he's a 4-point pirate named crew, and his abilities are Loyal Pirate, Captain, and Parley. So you have to have at least one other pirate game piece in your fleet, which is super easy. Probably will be the ship he's on, most likely. captain, of course, you can move and shoot. And then the parley ability, which basically you can end an opposing ship's turn if they try to shoot at you if you parley away a random coin either from the ship he's on or from your home island. So parley is a really cool defensive ability. I think should be used more. I haven't used it enough personally, and I think it's a really interesting ability. And it's an interesting historical side of things too. It was introduced as part of the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff, but I think historically as part of like a bribery type theme, it actually has potential there too. And his flavor text is one of my favorites. The self-proclaimed king of pirates is either a genius or a buffoon, depending on which side you are on. Though many of his actions are inexplicable, they seem to work out for him in the end. And when it's all said and done, he lords over the only defensive pirate haven in the world. So I really ran with this idea. He's not necessarily one of my absolute favorite characters in the lore, so to speak, but I think he's really interesting, and it's seeing his flavor text develop through the sets is pretty cool. And I think this is probably the best artwork for him too. He looks kind of dramatically different in all three variations, at least in my opinion. So I've made a pirate empire fleet, an 100-point fleet, kind of based on this flavor text. And then in Command the Oceans, you may have seen my Captain Mission's Pirate Kingdom, which is a custom, I guess, island, you could call it, if anything. It's a custom game piece based on the flavor text. So it's like a pirate kingdom where it's kind of like his base. So it's one of my favorite custom things I've made as well. So, but back to Mission himself here. He's essentially getting parley for 1 point. I think that ability is worth about 3, no less than 2. So he's getting a classic pirate named crew discount here, like some of the others we've seen, like Calico Cat from Ocean's Edge. And as a result, Mission is underpriced, and it makes him pretty darn good. So you only have to pay 1 extra point from a regular captain. So if you go out the extra point and you don't need or want Norseman or Explorer somewhere else, which you might want, that might be a better option. But if you can afford him, spend the extra point to get parley as well for just 1 point, which is really neat. And game piece rating out of 10, I would probably say maybe 8.5 or 9, because there's not really a lot to complain about here. It won't always be worth it. You won't always need parley, or it could backfire. Since the coin is chosen randomly, you want to make sure you know what you're doing when you get into it. Parley is kind of a complicated ability. Might make a separate video on it sometime, especially after I've used it more sometime in the future. But if you've got like a 7 or a 6 coin and then some other low value coins, you might not want to risk losing, you know, the high value coin, because if you use parley a lot, it might tip the treasure scale in your opponent's favor. It can really flip things around. So you still got to be careful with it, and you can choose whether or not to use it, of course. But so yeah, I would probably say I have to say 9 out of 10 though. Super rare, cool artwork, great abilities, underpriced by at least 1 point, if not 2. So a great crew really. So I would highly recommend trying to get a hold of him. Although he is super rare, the Rise of the Fiends super rare pack was pretty much the least rare super rare pack, along with the Savage Shores ones, which were somewhat common as well. But the Rise of the Fiends super rare pack is the only one I've pulled actually from a pack, so I can attest to it not being quite as difficult to acquire. So in that case, Mission's not too hard to get a hold of. So definitely recommended there. Picture of the day is from Economy Edition. There was a weird kind of like, not a hiatus, but there was like a weird period in Economy Edition 3 years ago this week, I guess you could say, where there was a turn. It was based on resource changes. So in the Economy Edition rules, there's resources and then they change in value. So at the end of a resource duration, for example, it will change. So let's say lumber was worth 1 gold. If the resources change in a certain way, lumber could be worth 6 all of a sudden. So the value might skyrocket. So the pirates here, well, basically I had a period where 1 turn took me about 3 days to play out between all the factions, because there were a ton of launches and there were mega launches going on. So I think the factions combined to spend well over 1,000 total gold, I believe, on this 1 turn. It was turn 33. And here, the pirate fleet was kind of stagnant for a while, and they didn't they didn't really branch out too much or launch many warships because they had been saving gold. So might seem hard to believe, but there's actually 549 gold on their home island, which is still a personal record for me, I believe. Well, maybe outside of Command the Oceans. Anyway, I still have to make an official records thread sometime, but that'll be fun. So 549 gold, and then they would spend it next turn, as we'll see soon. And I like how this picture actually shows the background kind of cool too, because you can see the pirates have used Calypso to put ships in the lagoon with whirlpools, which is a really cool thing. One of my favorite things that happened in that game. You can see the lagoon. The lighting is cool. You can kind of see, the Franco-Spanish fleet at the upper right starting to sail past the cursed home island, and there's going to be more on that soon as well. So a pretty cool picture from economy and really showing the power of saving over the long haul. But that being said, a lot of times saving in campaign games is a terrible strategy for the most part. So anyway, the next picture of the day, I'm doing two because this was the first day, I guess, that I ever took pictures for Pirates Constructible strategy game. So Century of the Empire started 3 years ago, or not 3 years, 5 years ago. So 2013. This was the first campaign game I played with pictures, and the quality obviously isn't nearly as good as Economy Edition, but I don't know if it was a camera settings thing or whatever, but basically, Century of the Empires, I featured it on the first picture of the day, the first blog post on pirateswithben.com, and now I'm returning to a different picture from that same day, just because, so now it's been 5 years since my first pictures I ever took for this game. So this was, I think, the third picture I took. It shows the Century of the Empire's ocean. I didn't use a blue ocean fabric. I basically had a big area in the middle, so I could like sit and then pivot and like spin around to play the game. So I didn't want to have too much in the middle because I wanted to be able to like sit down effectively and actually play. So it's kind of a funky circular ocean, but it worked pretty well actually. So it doesn't show a lot of detail. It's kind of a very zoomed out shot, low quality, but in the main thing you can see is the American home island, and then off to the left outside of the frame is the Sargasso South, where the Pirates' home island was. You can kind of see the other home islands off in the distance at the upper portions of the photo, but you can't really tell, can't really make much out. So, but I just wanted to include it because 5 years ago today, started taking pictures for Pirates for the first time, and now I've got thousands and thousands of pictures. I think Command the Oceans alone had around 3,500 pictures taken. So, although that was an anomaly because it was the biggest game ever. So, I think Economy Edition 454 were how many pictures I took for that one. So, that pretty much wraps up the different features and whatnot. I would highly recommend, if you're a newer player, if you get involved in the fleet challenges. I'm going to be posting it later today, as I said. And it's a really great way to get involved in the community and to really learn a lot about fleet making and separate criteria, things like that. And I would recommend, if you're new and getting into it, or just participating in the fleet challenge in general, look at other people's fleet, try to learn from them, vote on them, comment on them, all that sort of thing. So the more you engage, the more you can learn about making fleets and all that sort of thing. Because I know a lot of people have recommended that for tutorials and just topics in general between the forum and videos and the podcast. So there's a new miniature review contest up, and there's going to be a new fleet challenge up too. So an exciting time for challenges and contests. And beyond that, though, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon for more videos.